Good evening, everyone. You're watching Awaz News. I'm Kubra Ali, and I'll be taking you to top news across Canada.
Canada-wide warrants have been issued for 7 suspects wanted for murder in connection with the fatal shooting of a 28-year-old man in Etobicoke last week. Police on Tuesday provided an update on their investigation into the killing of Anthony Taylor. The 28-year-old was shot in a hallway on the upper floors of the Toronto Community Housing Building near Queen's Plate Drive and Rexdale Boulevard on the evening of May 31st, police said. Taylor died at the scene. Police identified the 7 new suspects: 23-year-old Dijon Marlin, 30-year-old Kabina Akon, 24-year-old Gideon Ade, 35-year-old Lincoln Picard, 23-year-old Daniel Ade, 23-year-old Keondra Davis, and 23-year-old Justin Nicole. All 7 are wanted for second-degree murder. Ade and Picard are also wanted for the firearm-related offenses. Police already have 1 suspect in custody, 30-year-old Ernest Gyamphai. He is facing a second-degree murder charge. Investigators previously said that there was a brief interaction between the victim and Gyamphai before the shooting. A 23-year-old man has been arrested following allegation that he lured 2 young girls through social media and solicited child sexual abuse material. Durham Regional Police say members of the Child Exploitation Unit launched an investigation in late 2025 after receiving information that the man had allegedly communicated with 12-year-old and 13-year-old through social media platforms Reddit and Snapchat. According to police, the suspect used Reddit and Snapchat to communicate with the victims under the usernames Delivery Normal 7189 and Manu 041.01 to persuade them to send child sexual abuse and exploitation material. In 2026, police executed a search warrant at the suspect's residence in Whitby. During the raid, police arrested the suspect, who was identified as Manu Suguna Kumar of Whitby, and seized several electronic devices. Suguna Kumar was charged with numerous offenses, including 2 counts of luring a person under 16 to facilitate sexual assault, 3 counts of luring a person under 18 to facilitate the making of a child sexual abuse material, 1 count of luring a person under 16 to facilitate invitation to sexual touching, and 1 count of publishing an intimate image without consent. Police say Suguna Kumar is employed by Durham College. The college has not confirmed whether he remains employed there following his arrest. Investigators believe there may be additional victims. Anyone with information is asked to contact Durham Regional Police. Ontario Premier Doug Ford said again Tuesday that he won't put U.S. alcohol back on LCBO shelves in Ontario until a trade deal is hammered out with the U.S. to end the ongoing trade war. He added, maybe we will have a little drink of Kentucky bourbon or something in Ontario once the deal is finalized. Ford pulled thousands of bottles of U.S.-made alcohol from LCBO shelves last year in response to the trade war initiated by U.S. President Donald Trump. He said in April he would reverse the move in a heartbeat, but not while Trump is working to destroy Canada's economy. Ford's latest trip comes as recent polls show him losing some ground with voters to the rival Liberals in the wake of the controversial private jet purchase. Ford quickly sold off the jet after an outcry, but insisted it would still make sense for him to have it. He said Tuesday he's not met with any members of the U.S. administration on his trip so far. A planned meeting with U.S. Chamber of Commerce Chair Ross Perot Jr. was also cancelled due to the scheduling conflict. However, he said he did meet with the U.S. Senator Kevin Cramer of North Dakota, as well as 3 other policymakers. He also made an appearance on CNN Tuesday afternoon in which he stressed the need to resolve the trade dispute quickly for the benefit of both countries. In his comments to reporters, Ford also weighed in on the start of the federal consultation conversations on the future of the Billy Bishop Airport, which he wants to expand into the more robust airport with jets and higher passenger volumes. Ford said he welcomes the consultations and that he believes any poll will still show most people want a bigger airport downtown. People want the convenience of an airport downtown, especially the size of Toronto, Ford said. One of the biggest street festivals in Toronto closed early Saturday night due to overcrowding, but organizers say they are already working on the adjustments for next year to make things right. Due West Fest ran from Friday to Sunday on Dundas Street between Shaw Street and Lansdowne Avenue in the city's Little Portugal neighborhood. The Little Portugal Toronto BIA, which organized the event, said they were expecting more than 1 million visitors over the weekend. While that number is still pending through crowd counting data, Toronto police told Awaz News on Tuesday that the number of people in attendance on day 2 was unlike anything it had ever seen from the festival in years past. Police said they were forced to close the event 1 hour early due to crowds, saying that it became clear as the night went on that vehicular traffic if the area had come to the standstill with hundreds of cars parked illegally nearby. Dundas Street was closed to east-west traffic all weekend with some expectations for north-south travel. One post on Reddit about the crowds has garnered more than 300 replies, with one person saying this year's event was the most packed they had ever witnessed. Another said they experienced a crowd crush at one point as the weight of the mass of people pushed up against them. It could have easily gone badly. At least 2 videos of flights at the festival have surfaced online. Police said there was not an insignificant amount of crime at this year's event, with 66 calls for service, 41 of which were for theft under $5,000. At least 36 of those calls were pickpocketing of cell phones. A planned reception with Doug Ford and American billionaire Ross Perot Jr. in D.C. was cancelled Monday, according to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. A spokesperson for the chamber tells Awaz News the event was pulled down due to scheduling reasons, but did not provide further information. Perot Jr. is the chair of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. The Premier's office did not immediately respond to a request for comment or provide an explanation. However, Ford responded to questions about the cancellation on Tuesday, telling reporters there was a little conflict of scheduling. "We have been jammed meeting everyone down here," Ford said in Washington. "They have rolled out red carpet for us. They treat us so well." Ford's office has been tight-lipped about exactly who is he meeting with during his 2-day trip to the U.S. Capitol. An industry source had previously told Awaz News that Monday's event would feature American businesses with an interest in Canada, and that discussions with Ford would be largely bilateral based and not Ontario specific. The federal government is expected to bar kids under the age of 16 from social media, and new legislation set to be introduced as early as Wednesday. The government gave notice Tuesday that it will introduce a bill to enact the Digital Safety Act and the Digital Safety Commission of Canada Act. Culture Minister Mark Miller, who is taking the lead on the legislation, said the government will take all reasonable measures to ensure kids are safe. Federal ministers declined to give details about the bill Tuesday, saying they could not do so before the bill is introduced due to the parliamentary rules. The bill is expected to include a ban on social media for kids under 16, although platforms that meet safety standards could obtain exemptions, according to the reports in the Globe and Mail and National Post. Ottawa said in its AI strategy released last week that it will also introduce legislation to address the safety of AI chatbots. The legislation comes as a number of other countries are planning to introduce similar bans for kids on social media as questions are asked about interactions the mass shooter in Tumbler Ridge, BC had with ChatGPT. Justice Minister Sean Fraser said the government's motivation is to ensure that we are being responsible when it comes to protecting kids in particular. And online harms bills introduced by the Liberals in 2024, would have created a digital safety commission to administer and enforce the legislation. That bill did not become law before the 2025 election was cancelled. Government House Leader Stephen McKinnon said the new online safety legislation is a priority for the government. He said the new bill is more likely to succeed than the government's earlier attempt because there is a great realization in society that there are negative effects for social media use, maybe particularly among our youth, and this bill, when tabled, will seek to address that. Police say another arrest has been made in connection with the murder of Toronto senior found dead inside an apartment in City's Wychwood neighborhood. Officers were called to an apartment in the area of St. Clair Avenue West and Rushton Road at around 8:20 a.m. on December 9, 2025. A woman later identified as 79-year-old Jolyn Kunn was found dead inside a unit in the building. Her death was classified as a homicide following a post-mortem examination, police said. Details about her cause of death were not publicly released. In January, investigators confirmed that 2 arrests had been made in the murder. Ashton Drysdale, a 38-year-old Toronto man, was arrested and charged with a number of offences, including a first-degree murder, possession of firearm without a license. Kariam Hines, 38, of Toronto, was also arrested and charged with first-degree murder. On June 8, investigators said a third man had been charged in the homicide. Christopher Matthews, a 39-year-old Peterborough man, now faces 1 count of first-degree murder. Police said Matthews is also known as Andrew Christopher Chesson. Police are asking anyone with additional information about the case to contact 41808-7400 or Crime Stoppers anonymously. One of the biggest street festivals in Toronto closed early Saturday night due to overcrowding, but organizers say they are already working on the adjustments for next year to make things right. Due West Fest ran from Friday to Sunday on Dundas Street between Shaw Street and Lansdowne Avenue in the city's Little Portugal neighborhood. The Little Portugal Toronto BIA, which organized the event, said they were expecting more than 1 million visitors over the weekend. While that number is still pending through crowd counting data, Toronto police told Awaz News on Tuesday that the number of people in attendance on day 2 was unlike anything it had ever seen from the festival in years past. Police said they were forced to close the event 1 hour early due to crowds, saying that it became clear as the night went on that vehicular traffic in the area had come to the standstill with hundreds of cars parked illegally nearby. Dundas Street was closed to east-west traffic all weekend with some expectations for north-south travel. One post on Reddit about the crowds has garnered more than 300 replies, with one person saying this year's event was the most packed they had ever witnessed. Another said they experienced a crowd crush at one point as the weight of the mass of people pushed up against them. It could have easily gone badly. At least 2 videos of flights at the festival have surfaced online. Police said there was not an insignificant amount of crime at this year's event.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.